Coming up today on the Locked On Hornets podcast, the Hornets host Media Day on Monday. What questions do you want answered? We'll get into that, and I guess we're going to get into Ninja Turtles somehow, some way. It's got to be a Sicko Satchel question. That's all today, Locked On Hornets.
You are Locked On Hornets, your daily Charlotte Hornets podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
In a minute, cuz we live.
It's Locked On Hornets, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day. Thanks for making us your first listen. We're free and available anywhere you get your podcast. That includes YouTube. There's Doug Branson, everyhornetsboxscore.com. Also, he produces a show, Yahoo Sports Daily, with Jason Fitz and Caroline Fenton. It's new. Go check it out. I'm Walker Mail. Listen to me, WFNZ. Not so new, but still check it out. WFNZ 92.7 FM every weekday from 12 to 3 p.m. Hornets Media Day. It's almost here. Taking place Monday at Queens, by the way. So shout out to Queens for housing the Hornets while Spectrum Center goes through some renovations to give us a happier home in Hornets land. Doug, we'll see how all of that unfolds. But Hornets Media Day, got some questions for the people. Charles Lee, Jeff Peterson expected to speak to media. Wes and Walker going to be out there. So don't have the guest list yet, but I think we're going to get some pretty interesting guests here, like towards the top of the hierarchy over there in Hornets land. So will be fun to have some of those guests on, Wes and Walker, again from 12 to 3. What are some of the questions you want answered?
Well, first, I felt weird over the past couple of days. I'm like, I'm not anticipating, I'm not anxious at all about this media day. What does that say about the team? Is that bad? Are my expectations low for the team? Do I not care as much as I used to? And then I realize, no, it's because they don't have some weird controversy off the floor that we all have to figure out and that gets in the way of trying to examine what this team, can be. Like for once, like we can just kind of lock in and, figure out if LaMelo Ball
We just
can
talk
be a leader
ball, Doug. We're just going to talk. We're going to talk about some ball, and you're not wrong. Speaking of vibes, always pretty interesting going into media day. How are the Hornets moving around? Is there this happy spirit among us? Are people skipping to and from their stations during Hornets media day? That was not the case a few years ago, where it was palpable, the awkwardness that was all across us with the Miles Bridges stuff. Mm-hmm. Weirdest media day we'll probably ever go to, considering everything that happened with Miles. I think some pretty disappointing finishes, but we had some hope. Last year, it was actually pretty vibey. Loved it. It was fun. And then they won 19 games, but not because of any of the real talent they had on the roster. It's because that talent that they had on the roster, it was injured. So we're hoping to avoid that. But I think we feel more prepared, Doug. It feels like, and I'm going to knock on wood here, and I hope that exercises all the Hornets' demons. But it feels like now the Hornets are a little more prepared for any of the injuries that might come our way. And because of that, we have more hope even for some worst case scenario stuff. And that's very good.
Yeah, let's see. What's the top thing that I want to know from this media day? I mean, I'll say the top thing that I personally want to know is if the Hornets are ready in any way to lay any expectations on this team. If they're finally ready to say, hey, we want to be a playoff. We want to get into the postseason. We've got a plan to get there. Everybody's got to stay healthy, but we want it because it's been a while since we've heard that, and also at the same time had some like legitimate moves that at least make you hope that they have that idea. Like obviously, like if you listen to national media, they're going to look at this roster and names that we appreciate, names that we love, like Trey Mann and Colin Sexton and some of the depth pieces like Moussa Diabate and Grant Williams. They're not going to look at those names the same way. They're going to remember the contributions and the teams that they were on previously. They're not going to give those guys a lot of love, but at least they represent a talent upgrade above and beyond absolute G League players that were filling out the depth of this roster in years past. So I want to know if they're finally ready to say, hey, we've got some expectations. Not championship, but just like something. That would be the thing that I'm most interested in. I think popular, like the most people, the people that are on the WFNZ text line and that comments on our YouTube videos, I think the thing that they're going to want to know is Brandon Miller health. Like what's going on there? Is he ready to go? How much has he been able to do in the past couple of weeks? How much stronger has he gotten? I just think the Brandon Miller update is going to be the top story.
Yeah, part of Hornets Media Day is asking questions in a way that you can interpret answers the best way possible and then apply that towards yes or no answers, right? For instance, I'm not going to be able to ask Charles Lee, are you going to start Mason Plumlee at center? And he's going to answer it. So we have to figure out different ways to
Don't
get
worry,
that
I already know the answer.
I want to ask that it's the QB kneel. It's victory formation. I love that. I love victory formation in pod form, just being crossing your arms. When we ask who you want to start, period, even at 2, because that's a real question. Well, I can't ask him, are you going to start Colin Sexton? And he's going to give me a real answer. So how do we ask it? The question I have is what your philosophy is when putting a starting 5 together. And I might ask it that specific way. So keep an ear out for some of the things that might be out there on the Hornets YouTube channel. The reason I'll ask it that way is Steve Clifford always used to go with his best defensive 5. That was what he always wanted to do, and he was very open with that. I don't know if we have an answer in those regards from Charles. So if he says, yeah, I would really like to compliment some of our backcourt players and stretch the floor out as much as possible. Like, okay, maybe you're just, maybe Con Knippel is starting instead of Colin Sexton because he can shoot more. I want my best defensive 5 out there. If Josh Green is healthy, maybe he's the guy that once he's back, you can expect to start at the 2. I don't know. I just want to hear the philosophy. I want to be as fast as possible. Okay, well, if you're going to be as fast as possible, that's Musa starting at 5. So now Musa's going to start. I think that's a question that I'll ask specifically of Charles before we move on to some other guys.
Yeah, we'll try to get some hints. Oh, boy.
Right.
Just had a little incident here in the studio. Everything's fine.
Moving a little too fast.
Yeah, no, I don't know if you heard any of that. There was
is that Gerald? I heard a crash. Gerald Wallace, is that you?
Yeah, no. That was a poltergeist sent by Charles Lee, warning you not to ask that question, or there will be Con Knippel consequences.
I like it.
So, yeah, no, I think those are all good questions. I think if there's a rival to the Brandon Miller intrigue question and just finding out where he is health-wise, I think it's a LaMelo Ball leadership question off of some of the luncheon stuff. But not only that, it just seems like there's, national media is national NBA media right now is revving up. And of course, with the Hornets, there are going to be a lot of opinions on what LaMelo Ball is and isn't. And it's one of those things where you can lay whatever you want to lay on it because he hasn't played enough games where you can really get a solid consensus on it. Nothing can build. So everybody just if you like LaMelo Ball, you're going to say things that make you seem like you like LaMelo Ball. And if you don't like him for whatever reason, you can make a case that it's in a negative way. So, but I would like LaMelo Ball to answer a question. I don't know that he's going to, but I would like him to answer a question about...
Just answer a question. Answer a question. I like him.
Just answer one single question.
It's a big ask.
It is, but I would like him to answer what he feels like his responsibilities are as a leader of the Charlotte Hornets. Not ask him if he's a leader or if he's comfortable being a leader. Let's just set it down. You, highest paid player, guy that has the ball in your hands the most, you're a leader. Like whatever kind of leader you are, whether you want to be one or not, you're a leader. What are your responsibilities? How do you view yourself and what you do as a leader of the Charlotte Hornets, and see what he has to say.
You got to prepare for LaMelo, man, because it's a great question, and he's going to say, I just, make sure I'm doing all the right stuff, taking care of everything I need to take care of, and, challenging people for sure. That's what he's going to say.
That's good. Not bad. Not bad.
That's my LaMelo.
That sold it. I wasn't sold
yeah.
until that one right at the end.
Yeah. So just answer it. LaMelo is always interesting because he's LaMelo, and you got to ask those questions. But I don't know if he'll give us a whole lot of substance. Another
but
Charles
the
Lee
non-answer to something
Yeah.
we've talked about. The non-answer is an answer. The not having that prepared can reflect on one's seriousness about the whole endeavor.
Yeah, and maybe he gives us something, man. Like who knows? Okay, Charles Lee. Another question is experimenting with lineups, because last year at the end of the season, he started to throw out two bigs. He started to throw out Musa alongside Mark, and the season was already gone to you know what. So he's like, all right, let's try some stuff and see if I like it. Maybe apply that to next year. You have a weird roster. You got a bunch of smalls out there, and you can be fast. You kind of have to be fast with the way that your roster is constructed. But I do want to find the balance of doing your best to win games while also getting the best out of your younger players, which is not some unique question that will only be asked here. We've asked some sort of question like that before, but it's always a good one. It's always a good one to ask every season. But also, I just want to know how much you're willing to experiment with these lineups, or do you want to play it safe as the year goes on because you truly in your heart of hearts feel like this is the best five and you don't want to tinker with it too much? Or are you going to view this as a Jackson Pollock painting? Like, let's just throw a whole bunch of stuff at the wall and see what works. Because man, if we don't, there's just not a whole lot of other advantages that we have. Like, we can get kind of crazy with the players on our roster. So I just want to know how much you would be willing to experiment with the guys on the team.
I want to know, additionally, from Charles Lee, what he feels like a successful season looks like for LaMelo Ball and for Brandon Miller. Like, what is, when he envisions those two have a successful season, what does that look like? To a show that we did earlier, the 20, 35, 40, Steve Clifford talked about a lot about, like, when you make a leap as a team, what are the things that have to happen? A guy has to compete for Sixth Man of the Year. I think lobbing that question and maybe a little bit of that Clifford context to Lee and saying, like, what do you think? You've been part of teams that have made championship leaps, like what are the signals? Like, what are the things that you're looking for that you go, okay, now this thing is starting to happen? I think that would be a very interesting question. Trey Mann health update, Grant Williams health update, Josh Green health update, maybe a question to Lee about how he's going to deal with the Grant Williams, Josh Green absences. I think those would all be interesting questions that you might be able to get some insight on from Lee.
Last one for me, just focusing on some of the authority figures, Charles Lee, and then one I might ask Jeff is, when they gave us that Hornets Real Access episode, their intro was Jeff Peterson discussing knowing what the right time was to push all of your poker chips in. And I think I would like to know, does he envision a scenario taking place this year where that could happen within the next calendar season? Like, how close are you? Maybe that's the question. How close are you to making the move that gets you over the hump to get to the playoffs? And
sixth inning, seventh inning stretch. Where are we? Where are we in that ball game?
I asked him the inning question, and he didn't like that
asking.
one, I don't think.
Keep drilling him.
Yeah,
put your reporter hat
like
on and
one.
get your little notebook out and keep asking.
We're gonna break this story wide open. Seventh inning. See, for sure, no doubt. Yeah, just that for sure. Coming up next on the Locked On Hornets podcast.
Bees everywhere!
Maybe a few more questions for the players, and we'll rummage through the Sicko Satchel. I still don't know what Ninja Turtles means, so I'm going to be right there with you, tuning in to find out exactly what it means. All today, LOH. This episode is brought to you by Skims. Appreciate Skims, as always, for helping us out here. We need some underwear, man, and Skims is there for you. They make underwear for men now, bringing the same attention to quality and comfort they're known for. Well, now you do know about them, because the men's line offers something for everyone, from boxer brief to classic briefs, all designed with the perfect balance of comfort and style. And finding underwear that fits well, stays in one place, and moves with you throughout the day can be a challenge, but not with Skims. They solve that with lightweight, high-quality materials that provide all-day comfort, whether working out, traveling, or just going about daily life. Shop Skims Men's at skims.com and Skims stores. Let them know we sent you. After placing an order, select podcast in the survey and select our show in the drop-down menu. More Locked On Hornets ahead. Yeah, any other player questions? I'm trying to think of some for Khan. What does he envision his role? But he kind of already answered some of that stuff. I remember asking Nurkic last year, what is it he wants most in the NBA? And he discussed minutes being the thing that he values most. Very honest in that regard. I hope we get Colin Sexton on Wes and Walker, because I think he'd be a very interesting interview. But whether he's on our show, whether I ask him on our show, or whether I ask him when he's up at the lectern, okay, what do you want out of this season? Because it's a contract year. You're playing on a team with some expectations, unlike the Utah Jazz for the last few seasons. So what is it you want most? What do you want most out of this year? And if he just gives us some boilerplate answer about wanting to improve every single day, and I'm obsessed with improving, which is a Charles Lee mantra and all that, then fine. But I think that's one where we have a shot at a real answer from somebody that's had to go through it in Utah for the last couple of seasons, just losing and losing and losing and losing and losing. And that's a competitive player. He does not like that, man. So I'm hoping I get some kind of honest answer from him, and I think there's a good chance that we would.
You could ask Mason Plumlee over under how many reverse jams can we expect?
Now you're talking.
Is he still doing the lefty shot, lefty midi?
Does he still have the cash cannon?
Does he still have the cash cannon? All of these, I think, are fair questions.
We're going to break this story wide open. The cash cannon. Oh, man.
Tijan Salon, what has he been doing this summer?
That's a good one, man. Yeah, Tijan, just all of it. Tijan, question mark, Charles?
Well, I think you could get something out of Tijan a little bit, but the more interesting angle is to ask Charles Lee and maybe Jeff Peterson. What is again, same sort of question with the team, just drilled down to the player. What are the signs that you're looking for that okay, we're making the right kinds of progress towards something.
It just hit me that this might be a poor move on my part, because I know people from the Hornets, maybe a couple, will watch this show every now and then, or maybe even decently. And
can you email me the answers? I asked them. Can you email them to me, please?
That'd be great. But I also don't. Are they? Yeah, this is so egotistical that they would be rehearsing the answers to the questions that we throw out there. There's, oh God, I got to get Walker's question right. I hope they're not. I just want to say, I hope if you're watching, Jeff, Charles, whoever over there, please don't rehearse. Just give us something interesting, man. We do want to know. We ask because we care. Any other questions?
I think it would be fun to have some insightful answers, again, I do think that you have to walk a line in these media days where you're trying. The function of the media day is it's a coming out party. It's the beginning of something, and really, when you break it all the way down, you are putting yourself in front of the media, but the media is the conduit to the fans. And so, and really with all of this direct media from the team now, it's some of that is direct line to the fans. And you are trying to sell them on a vision that ends up with them buying tickets to come see the games. And if you take, I understand the need to we can't reveal everything. We can't reveal strategy. We don't want to talk about what's in the playbook. I understand all of that. But you can keep everything close and nothing interesting comes out, and then people just they give them permission to continue to tune out. It's not, because the thing is, people have already, for the most part, default tuned out. They're not tuning in. So it's you're just going to continue to give them permission if you continue to just say, the same old thing every time.
It's not the first time that these guys are going to be answering questions going into a season where there are expectations, but it's the first time they're riding a high after an offseason like this, because they're happy about what they did. They're happy seeing all of the headlines, and they should be, man. Congratulations. Job well done, in my opinion. job well done in a lot of people's opinions. You got John Hollinger or David Aldridge ranking you with the 6th best offseason in the entire association. Like, they see all of that, and I think they're acting like it. I think we're not that we're getting more access or anything like that. I just think perhaps that environment, that good feeling allows them to be a little more forthright with some of the stuff they're truly thinking, and they really want to answer some questions rather than feeling so guarded because they're just so used to taking criticism all of the time, and they understand it, but they're so used to it. Now they're actually answering questions from a point where they're being lauded for what they did. Hey, good work. That goes noticed too. It's not just the bad work. So that's an interesting spin that I don't think we've heard really anybody in the Hornets organization speak from in quite some time. And maybe there's a different vibe in that regard.
The only thing that I would challenge on what you said is that there are expectations. I don't think there are any expectations. There are some markets and some teams where the expectations are set by the paying public, by the fans. They set the expectations. They say, do or die, win or else. You've got to get to this level. Media does that too. And again, media fans kind of connected in that way in some of these markets. In Charlotte, not even because of the size of the market, but just because of the wasteland of lost seasons that fans have endured and the team moving and all the trauma of that, like, fans have no expectation. I mean, again, individuals do, like people who have season tickets and watch this podcast, they do. But I'm just talking about general 30,000 foot, the fandom of Charlotte Hornets. If they're even tuned in at all, they have zero expectations. The team has to set the expectations. The team has to come out and say, this is what our plan is. Hold us to account. We're going to make the play-in, or we're going to make the playoffs, whatever that thing is, or we're going to win. We want to have this much improvement, or we want to see this guy make an All-NBA. Whatever that is, you've got to set those expectations because it's not happening otherwise.
All right, coming up next on the Locked On Hornets podcast.
Bees everywhere!
Sicko Satchel time, Ninja Turtles time, all coming up in the last segment, LOH. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL season, it's here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love using FanDuel. It fits however I like to bet. Player props, building a same-game parlay. I don't know if I'm going to partake in a parlay with as many legs this go around, but I do like myself a nice little parlay. Hopefully I win this time on FanDuel. We can even jump into live action as everything unfolds in front of our eyes. It makes every game more exciting, whether you're watching your team or just making or keeping an eye on your fantasy lineup. It's quick, it's easy, and it's the best way to add a little more energy into your Sunday. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started today. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. More Locked On Hornets ahead. Sicko Satchel time. Baby, I'm ready. What kind of question do you got for the people?
All right, we've got two of these. And the first one is going to be, I'm not going to tease it any longer. This is from J Brown Buzz City, if I can get it pulled up, which
Our
is
guy always has great questions. Great questions.
Yeah, J Brown Buzz City. Here we go. I got it. Ninja Turtles live in sewers, so they should be right at home in the Sicko Satchel. I'm wondering which current Hornet y'all would say is each of the Ninja Turtles. Here we go. Raphael, a.k.a. strongest but irrational and quick-tempered. Strongest but irrational, quick-tempered. Who is the Raphael? Should I go through all of them, or you want to answer these one at a time?
Yeah,
Michael,
I mean,
let me just run through them quick.
I don't know if you need that. Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
That way you don't box someone into something, and then it might fit better elsewhere, okay?
Sure.
Michelangelo, playful, fun-loving, but least disciplined.
Okay.
Donatello, smart, calm, very cerebral. Leonardo, the leader and most skilled all around.
Okay. Leonardo sounds like Brandon Miller.
I like that.
LaMelo sounds like Michelangelo.
I mean, if there was anyone that 100% fit, it would be Michelangelo. Although I think I won't say 100. I'd say 95% because I think 5% a little bit Raphael. Strongest.
Yeah, I agree. Right.
Irrational sometimes, quick-tempered. I mean, the reason oftentimes when he fouls out, you could probably argue one or two of the calls, but that's not why he's fouling out. The reason he's fouling out is because he misses, he like airballs a three-point shot or drives to the rim and thinks he gets fouled and no call. Maybe he does get fouled and no call, and then he gets upset or quickly turns it over driving, gets upset with himself or with the referees or whatever, and then goes and hits somebody's arm, 70 feet from the basket. That's why he's fouling out of these games. So I think you could throw him into the Raphael bucket as well.
You know who's speaking to me when I look at the Hornets roster and I'm trying to figure out who's Raphael? Tijan Salon. Quick-tempered. It's not a bad temper. It's just he is a little irrational.
It's up and down, right? Like it's up and down.
Yeah, it's irrational. He is very strong. He wants the smoke. Tijan absolutely. He's Raphael. I feel very good about it after talking it out. Tijan is Raphael. LaMelo is Michelangelo. We have Brandon Miller as Leonardo. And who's the other one that we didn't mention yet?
Donatello. Smart and calm, very cerebral.
Yeah, this one's tough. Grant Williams.
Done. Yeah, I was waiting on you. I had it, but
there we
yes.
go. All right. Yeah. There we go.
Donatello,
like
obviously, I think we kind of know with Mason Plumlee because he was here before. I would put him in a Raphael category. Strong a little bit, particularly on the offensive end of the floor. When he pretends to be a point guard, he can be a bit irrational. Quick-tempered, he actually is. Like, he will get mad on the floor. He has been known to, have a little bit of that Nurkic energy where he wants to fight somebody.
Yeah.
Colin Sexton might be that. We got to kind of find out what he's going to be on a team with
Colin.
hopefully some expectations as opposed to what he was. But he can get that look in his eye. I'll just say that, young bull.
Yeah, Colin is the other one that made sense to me. But the irrational part, just Tijan, it's all sorts of his game is saturated in irrational.
He also asked about Shredder, not on the team, but like a nemesis somewhere else. And I while you think about that, is there an arch nemesis player that plays against the Charlotte Hornets? While you think about that, I don't have a Shredder, but I do have a Bebop and Rocksteady. You remember these two guys, two bad guys in Ninja Turtles?
I like TMNT. I liked them when I was a kid. I don't know them well. They weren't my favorite. So this is not something that hits a lot of the nostalgia bone for me.
Okay, perfect. Well, but Shredder, right? Like that dings the... because Shredder was the main bad guy. I think a lot of people would then go to Krang, the brain inside the body, but the brain was in the stomach. I think next people would go to Krang. No. And so you'd say those are the two. Not a lot of people, unless you're a deep cut fan of TMNT, remember Bebop and Rocksteady. These are unknown bad guys, but they're powerful nonetheless. And that is none other than freaking Deuce McBride and Precious Achiuwa for the New York Knicks, because every single freaking time the Charlotte Hornets play the New York Knicks, those two go absolute flames, and you hear Eric Collins despondent over the microphone saying, Precious hasn't hit a three since, 2009. That's not even possible. But he's or Deuce McBride's 0 of 13 coming into the game for three. And yet here he is. Bam, 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 bam. Bebop and Rocksteady.
Two names come to mind. Daniel Gafford.
Yeah. Was that a function of Daniel Gafford, or was that a function of the guy that they just
traded? Gafford hurt us before. Also, what about just Zach LaVine?
Oh my God, yeah.
That's the one.
Yeah, that's the one. He is
hurt us in the most painful way. That's the one. Zach LaVine, Zach LaShredder. Okay. Any other Sicko Satchel question?
Shredder was the bad guy, right?
I think so. Look, this is not me. This is for
Master Splinter. I got scared there for a second that I was making.
No, I know he was the teacher, right?
Master Splinter, but Splinter, Shredder, it's kind of in the same. All right. I just want to make sure.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yes, I do have one more, and it's one that, and we've got a lot actually. The Sickos really they heeded the call. Once I put out the call, I don't know what that is. I don't know what the equivalent for Sickos would be of blowing like the conch shell.
Do you sneeze or cough?
Yeah, exactly.
Is it just a phlegm-filled
No, it's
yell?
vomiting. It's vomiting into a trash can. That is vomiting into a half-filled trash can.
Doug needs us.
Join subtext.com/LockedOnHornets. Going to the Sicko Satchel. All right, let's quickly answer this one that I've been holding on to, which is this from Hallie of the 12th Dwight Howard division. Which, if any, current Hornet do you guys think has the most potential to turn into one of these Kuminga-Thomas contentious contract situations? Just very quickly, who on the roster now do you think could turn into one of those situations like Kuminga and Thomas where, it's sort of borderline restricted free agents? Do we pay him a lot of money? Do we overpay to keep him? Or do we try to get them to sign the qualifying offer? They just kind of went through this a little bit with PJ Washington. And then, of course, Miles Bridges, which was a weird circumstance, but he signed the qualifying offer. But yeah, what's the next contentious contract situation?
Well, on a bigger scale, it's Brandon. We've gone through that. That could be interesting, just with how the season ends for Brandon. Do the Hornets? Do they just want to throw all of them, throw all the money at him because it's a no-brainer, or are they going to try to play a tiny bit of hardball with Brandon Miller, and his representatives don't like it? I think on a bigger scale, it's Brandon. The other name that's speaking to me, what about Liam McNeely? I don't know if Liam McNeely isn't the guy that you spent your highest draft pick on, but he is someone that has some potential. Maybe he's this really interesting piece that has given you flashes that you like, but he's not as consistent of a performer quite yet. You don't want to lose him for nothing, but you already have Brandon locked up, LaMelo locked up. Let's just say Con Knipple hits. Now you have a first-round pick, and you really like what he's done for you. He's a good leader, especially if he's going to be as vocal as he was in Summer League. But, man, we got a lot of money tied up in other players. I don't know, Liam, would you be willing to take this deal? Absolutely not. Me and my agent, we're going to see if other teams want me. Oh, and by the way, they do. Yeah, all that, I can see that playing in my head. Maybe Liam McNeely is the answer down the road.
I just think because of the injury last season, the leader in the clubhouse is Brandon Miller. I think he could just as easily make it a no-brainer this season, and a lot of people are expecting him to do that. They're expecting him to put a fringe all-star campaign together, but I'm just saying, he didn't have a ton of summer to, get right. So there could be some wonkiness, particularly at the beginning of the season, but does he have such a dominant close to the season that leads the Hornets into the postseason that turns all the heads, and then it's okay, well, it's no brainer. He can definitely, because of what they already know about him, he can easily turn it the other way. But that's kind of what makes this season, in a very sick and weirdly exciting or weird way, it makes it very exciting to see exactly where this thing's going to turn on him.
So you're not going to have the qualifying offer part of it because you're not going to have control. He's going to hit unrestricted free agency. But just another interesting, basically I'm using Hallie's question, a very good one, and parlaying that into what might be an interesting contract back and forth. Doug Collins Sexton could be a really interesting one at the end of this year. If he's a big help with this team and they reach a level they haven't in the last few seasons since the 43 and 39 year, Charles Lee, all he does is speak glowingly about him, how competitive he is. They brought him in for a reason. They brought him in specifically even to challenge LaMelo in some spots. Do you want to lose that guy if he leaves such a big imprint on your team for, I don't know, is he going to ask for $25 million a year? Is he going to be more of a $20 million a guy or a $20 million a year guy? Or there's money to spend next season. The Colin Sexton one could be fascinating in a way of Charles Lee wants him. Jeff Peterson might not want him at the money Colin wants to be paid. And then you might even have some kind of first battle between GM and head coach. I'm not saying I think that is going to happen, but the Colin Sexton end of year contract negotiations are going to be pretty fascinating to me.
What you're basically saying is, are the Hornets going to make the Jeremy Lin decision again and say, hey, thanks for helping us off the bench and being a catalyst to the success we had this year, but we're not willing to make the commitment because you want a certain dollar amount. And obviously, hindsight 2020, he would, Lynn would go on to Brooklyn and have an injury issue, but the Hornets, chaos theory, that might not have happened if he had stayed with the Hornets. But guess what? Both Colin Sexton and Jeremy Lin, in the year that Jeremy was in Charlotte and the year that Colin Sexton's going to be in Charlotte, both 27 years old. Same age.
Yeah. I think that's going to be a really interesting one to watch as the year unfolds. That'll do it for Locked On Hornets. Thanks for making us your first listen. We're free and available anywhere you get your pods. That includes YouTube. Go check out Doug's Substack, everyhornetsboxscore.com. Also, the show he helps produce, Yahoo Sports Daily, with Jason Fitz and Caroline Fenton. And I'm Walker Mail. Listen to me, WFNZ, every weekday from 12 to 3 p.m., including Monday. We'll be out at Hornets Media Day. We'll have a few guests. Don't know exactly that guest lineup yet. Could be, I think we're going to get some good ones. So hierarchy pretty high up on the totem pole. I think we're going to have some of those guys on the show. So 12 to 3, 92.7 FM. Also tune in on the WFNZ app or WFNZ.com. Even Apple. We're on Apple as well. If you have Apple or Spotify, check us out there. Have a great rest of your day. Have a great weekend. We'll be back with you on Monday.
Turtle power.